Hello and welcome. My name is Father William Maestri, and this is a special edition of Overfed and Undernourished. I've just received, and you're just in time, a bulletin from the divine umpire from up above, who's, I'm told, never made a bad call. And in this executive order, we're told that this day, July the 23rd, 2020, no one in the United States today is able to be gloomy and doomy. Doom and gloom have been ruled out, and hope and going forward is in. Why, you ask? Well, today, July 23rd, is the beginning and the opening of Major League Baseball in the United States. What a great day it is, and doom and gloom are rightfully ruled out. And it is a day for celebration, a day for disconnecting from all of the news that we're inundated with every single day. And it's time for reconnecting with other parts of ourself. We need sports psychologically, spiritually, emotionally. We need this kind of break. It's not simply a kind of thing when you have nothing else to do. It's also essential to our health. And since this is overfed and undernourished, we often are overfed on the doom and gloom, and we're undernourished on that which, especially nowadays, gives us a great deal of hope and to divert our energies and attention in different directions. And sports does that. I'd like to mention two books for your summer reading, which are just fabulous books. I read them decades ago, and they're still great today. If you've read them already, read them again. They're worth it. If you haven't, treat yourself. The classic baseball book by Roger Kahn, Boys of Summer, one of the greatest baseball books ever written, and it chronicles the 1950 Brooklyn Dodgers. And it culminates really and climaxes with their 1955 win, finally, over the hated and dreaded New York Yankees. And Ebbets Field, one of the great venues to play baseball, and the tremendous players they had at that particular time. Gil Hodges, Duke Snider, Carl Furillo, Jackie Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Roy Campanella, the list goes, Don Newcomb on the mound. The list goes on and on and on. And it was also a book about a different America. It's not a kind of nostalgic, sentimental kind of thing, although it has that. And we could all use that, frankly. But it really talks about some enduring values and relationships and deeper meanings to culture and to sports, and especially to the national pastime, baseball. The second book I'd like to recommend to you is by Michael Novak, philosopher and Catholic theologian. And he wrote a wonderful book decades ago called The Joy of Sports. And he goes through baseball and basketball and football. And he talks about some of the deeper spiritual, religious, and philosophical meanings, and what they mean for the culture, and what they mean for a nation, and part of our identity and our activity. And Michael Novak in his book says this. It's a very short little sentence, but it's so meaningful. He says, sports is somehow a religion. Now, before all of you who are religiously sensitive begin screaming, heretic and sacrilege and wanting to dust off the instruments of the Inquisition, we need to remember what the word religion means. It means that which binds, that which holds things together. It's a ligament, religiment. It's that which brings people together. And sports is a religion. It's not the first religion, but it is a religion, and it has elements of religion. And Novak goes beautifully through these. It is a cult. The word cult is related to the word culture, and it has its rituals. Don't step on the white lines as you go to and from your position in the field. Step in and out, how many times you adjust your cap. And all of these little rituals and cultic activities that you watch baseball players do over and over again, often unconsciously, but there are rituals involved. There's a great deal of ceremony involved in baseball. Throwing out the ceremonial pitch, the first pitch, the opening of the season, all of those kinds of things, the singing of the national anthem. And those kind of things add to the richness and flavor of sports as a religion. And it also has to deal with the fickle finger of fate, ascesis, as the Greeks called it. It is the idea of fate, the bad bounce, the wind-blown ball, the missed call. All of those kinds of things take place, and one has to learn to deal with it, as one has to learn to deal with it in life, and religion helps us during those particular times. But interestingly, Novak goes on and says that in sports, especially baseball, he talks about the 7 seals of baseball. There's sacred space, the stadium, the stadia. Some of the old ballparks, just absolutely churches and cathedrals to the sport of religion. Here's the cat across the camera, but don't worry, it's a Catholic, so it's okay, and it's such a baseball fan, it had to come out and see what's going on. His cats are want to do, but he's now taking either the 7th inning stretch, or he has, some people are amazingly bored with baseball. I doubt it. So anyway, he's there, and he seems to be enjoying this. I hope you are too. And this is what you call the adaptation and the Prince of Blends, able to deal with cats across the screen. But don't worry about it. He's a Catholic, and I'll ask him in a few minutes what his favorite team is. There's also sacred time, the heroic. That is when great deeds are done. And we all remember those, watching baseball or our favorite sport. I remember as a child in the 6th grade at St. Peter and Paul Elementary School, the World Series was played, all the games were played in the daytime, and the Yankees were playing the Pirates in 1960, and I was in the 6th grade. And I couldn't stand the Yankees, loved the Pirates. And I smuggled my little transistor radio with its little wire, and I was sitting in the back of the room and had it in my pants with the wire up the back. And in the bottom of the 9th, Bill Mazeroski hit the home run that won the World Series for the Pirates, and I blurted out, "The Pirates won! The Pirates won!" Well, Sister Felix, who came storming down the aisle, who I just assumed later she was not either a Pirate fan, she didn't like baseball, or she thought my behavior was quite out of order. And she was taking care of me. I didn't feel a thing, by the way. I was so elated that the Pirates had won. But it's those kind of, and we all have those kind of heroic moments in sports, when it seems that big deeds call for big people, and they come through. There's a bond of brotherhood, the 3rd seal. You see in sports this melting away of race, creed, color, socioeconomic background, national origin, and all of that. A touchdown is scored, the winning basket is made, the home run or the hit is made, the catch, the pitch, and there's just jubilation and joy and celebration that takes place as grown men begin to hug and fall on top of each other and all the things they would not normally do. There's also the idea of rooting and cheering. It's almost like David around the Ark of the Covenant. After the covenant arrives, David breaks out into song, and the people begin with their tambourines and their harps and their musical instruments, and they dance and they praise the Lord. And you have that. We have high fives and chest bumpings and all other kinds of things that we do today. But it's the idea, the sheer exhilaration and ecstasy of a joy-filled moment, as we also have agonon. Agony takes place. Head in the hands. We have to put the towel over the head. We just kind of shake our head. Shoulders get slumped. But all of that is part of the human drama. And we really associate that with sports. And we need that again. We're also, fifthly, inspired by the struggle. There is strength in the struggle. the team that comes back, seemingly impossible odds, they win. We love the underdog in America. We love the comeback story, the comeback kid. And we even have, in baseball, the comeback player of the year in both leagues. And there's something about that you can come back. You can get off the canvas. You may have gone 0 for 3, but here in the last of the inning, you might get the hit that wins the game, or you sink the basket after a bad night of shooting. Whatever it is, we like that kind of inspired struggle. Somebody that comes back from an injury or is written off, latches on to another team and has a great season. We like competing. We like to test limits. We like to test ourselves. There's a drive within us to excel, not simply to be mediocre or not simply to meet standards, but to excel and to achieve. And lastly, the seal of self-discovery. We find out a great deal about ourselves in victory and in defeat. How do we handle ourselves in victory? Are we humble, gracious? We avoid ridiculing or embarrassing the other side. In defeat, are we able to be, quote unquote, good sportsmen? Are we able to accept and from that defeat learn lessons, get better, improve, not blame others, not walk around with our lips over our shoulder and all of that sort of stuff, but we grow and develop because of that. Baseball is, it's just a wonderful day to have baseball back because it reminds us of tradition, of memory, and of history. And boy, we sure need that now when we seem to be on this jag about getting rid of our history and so on. Baseball is filled with history. One of the great induction ceremonies, I think the best, is at Cooperstown. I watch it every year. It's a terrific ceremony. It's a ritual where you have the greats of yesterday with the future Hall of Famers, their families, and it's just a wonderful kind of liturgical experience. And we have so many traditions in sports, but I'm centering in on baseball today. Baseball is a game of statistics. It's kind of objective, and it is a time in which the score is marked for you. We have the scorecard, and it's printed in the newspaper, the box score, and it kind of tells a story itself. If you watch and you read the sports section of the newspaper. In fact, Earl Warren, the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, someone asked him, when you read your paper, what's the first thing you read in the morning, Mr. Chief Justice? And he said, the first thing I read is the sports, and the first thing I read in sports is I read the baseball box scores. He said, it's so refreshing to have something that is objective, who won, who lost, who had hits, who had outs, and so on and so forth. He said, my whole day is taken up with lawyers and legal things, and all they do is talk about, well, on the one hand, and then on the other hand, well, it might be, it could be. He said, baseball is clean. The box score is clean. Here's your record for the day. And he said, and I love that about the box scores and the scorekeepers, who often we don't hear anything about, but they're very important to the game. There is also an element of transcendence. In sports, we come out of ourselves. We forget so many things that drag us down every day. In that one moment or that one game or that one experience, we transcend our worries, our cares, what's pressing in upon us. We're feeling bad. We've had a down day, and yet we go to the ball game, and there is, for at least an hour or two, maybe 3, if we're lucky, we feel different. We've forgotten all of that. Granted, the world comes back, but nonetheless, for that little time, it's a great respite. Also, the wonderful thing about baseball is that you can fail and still get in the Hall of Fame. If you go 3 for 10 in your career, 300, you got a good shot, if not automatic, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Baseball is a game of failure. It's how you deal with the failure. You make more outs than you make hits. Pitching, 300 wins, even the high 200s. That's considered a tremendous achievement and Hall of Fame material. It's wonderful, again, to realize that you can fail without being a failure. And finally, and I think the most important thing that that tells us, because it leads into this point, is that when you play sports, especially baseball, there is a thing called redemption. You can have a bad day, you can make an error, you can strike out in a key moment, you can throw a wild pitch, you can do all of those kinds of things, and yet the next day is another game. It's a new game. It's a new start. You can begin again. And there's something important about that. You have to be able to let the past be the past. You can't play yesterday's game today. You can't play today's bad call with the next ball coming at you. You have to play that ball. And that's a great lesson about life. We can't dwell and live in the past. We don't live through rearview mirrors. We have to live going forward. And so it gives us a tremendous virtue, a tremendous grace. It's called hope. So you went 0 for 4 today, or maybe you're in a slump, but maybe that next hitting streak is just around the corner. So I think that that's very, very important. And it's this tremendous gift of sports, and we really need that now with all that's going on in the country and in the world today. We need that kind of spiritual and psychological and emotional respite, that reservoir, that oasis and retreat to heal and to allow ourselves to become engaged in other things. So it's a wonderful day to be overfed and overnourished on sports and begin to once again get revitalized. And so I have my trusty baseball glove here with my baseball right here, the old pill, and you can take a lot of these. I don't know if you can get it down, but it's a lot right there. The old rawhide with the glove, my Atlanta Braves cap, the closest I could get to New Orleans from the South. And for those not to abandon the South, Los Angeles from Southern California. And for Southwest folks, and there's the cat again, who is interested in that because the cat is curious, and I don't think he could play, or she could play second base. I doubt it. Although it has a lot more paws. And I have my Houston Astros socks right here. I didn't bring my garbage can to signal to the batter what pitch was coming, but leaving that aside for a moment. I have all of the memorabilia here, and you might be wondering, well, where is the baseball bat? Well, to tell you the truth, they don't trust me with sharp objects and blunt objects. So, but that's for another video. But today, no bad stories, no bad things. Today is a day of hope, of transcendence, and if you still yourself for just a moment, you will hear, I believe, the angelic voices above. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. We have to root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Or it's still 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Well, I'd like to stay longer, but I can't because I have to go see the opening pitch of this new Major League Baseball 2020 season. Hope that you will do the same.